In this video, I will show you how to change the image on laptop screens with Photoshop. You can also change screens such as cell phones, televisions, monitors with this logic. You need to know roughly what the screen resolution is. For example, on laptop screens and computer monitor screens, an image of 1920 by 1080 will fit perfectly on the screen. Therefore, we first need to create a shape of 1920 by 1080. I go to the left side and select the rectangle tool. We can also draw something like this, but since we are going to stick to a specific resolution, we need to enter a specific ratio. I click anywhere on the image and a window like this will appear. In this window, I need to enter the size. I enter a size of 1920 by 1080 because it is a size I know. If you are using a smartphone, you can use this size. For example, if you want to make changes to a vertical smartphone screen, just enter 1080 by 1920. This will create a vertical shape. Since I want to create a horizontal shape, I keep the width more. We can click from center and I click the OK button. Such a shape is created. I can confirm this shape by pressing enter on the keyboard. First of all, there shouldn't be a border in this shape. If there is a border, we need to remove it. For example, if you have a border like this, you need to hover over stroke and select the icon on the left and it will remove the border. Now, we need to enlarge this shape to cover the screen size. So, I press Ctrl T and press Alt on the keyboard to enlarge it like this. If you are using older versions, it might enlarge like this. You should also press the Shift key to avoid this. We don't use the Shift key in new versions. So, our goal here is to enlarge proportionally. When it covers the screen in this way, I leave it and press Enter. We are slowly starting to create our screen. Now, we need to turn this shape into a smart object. If you are hearing the definition of smart object for the first time, I have prepared a detailed video on this subject. You can learn about smart object by watching that video. To convert this object to a smart object, I hover over the layer panel and right click on it and select Convert to Smart Object. When I select that, the icon here will change. So this is now a smart object. Now we will place this shape on the screen. For this we need to see the background. So we need to think about the opacity values of this layer. Again, let's make the opacity value 50% in the layer panel to see what is happening. Again, with this newly created layer selected, I press Ctrl T. The edges become editable and I right click, select Distort. The purpose of selecting this is this. We are going to try to adjust the edges by grabbing and dragging the corners so that they are over the screen. I may need to get closer by pressing Ctrl+ on the keyboard and by pressing the space key, follow the cursor. I can scroll like this by pressing the space key. Now let's place this shape that we have drawn in the corners of the screen in fine detail. I will show you how to make this part disappear in a moment. But you may not normally have any object in front of the screen. There is in this photo. But that's okay. It might be nice to show you how to overcome this. Just in case. After making the detailed work like this, I press Ctrl 0. So we can see the whole image. I press enter and increase the opacity value from 50% to 100%. As you can see, our screen is ready. I will show you how to place any image on the screen in a moment. But first, let's solve the object issue in front of the screen here. I'm approaching it again. I will use masking. I'm increasing the opacity value again to 75%. I need to delete this part. I immediately click on the mask icon in the layer panel. I press the letter B on the keyboard, B for brush. I edit my brush. I make it 50% and I edit my brush in this way. I start painting this part because I painted it black and because we created a mask, the places we painted will start to be invisible. There may be overflows in this way. For this, we need to do this. I increase the hardness value a little bit. I paint the flower parts first and then I repaint the overflowing parts in white instead of black. So we can say that the white color brings it back in the same way as black removes it. By pressing the letter X on the keyboard, you can make a quick change in this way. So editing the image will be much more practical. Okay, we have managed to separate the front object from the screen. Now I can make the opacity value 100% again and it will look like this. It looks pretty good. Now we come to the most important feature of smart objects. I double click on the layer that we have turned into a smart object on the icon here, so that the shape that we have turned into a smart object completely covers the screen. It opens as a new layer. For example, imagine that I draw here. I save it, Ctrl S. and I come back to the previous image and look, I can see that image here. What does that mean? It means that anything I add here, we can see it on another screen. For example, let's say I've added a landscape image like this. I save it and I hover over the laptop image and I see that image here. Anything you put here, you will be able to see on the laptop screen. Depending on the environment, we may also need to do a few flare effects. Let's do that like this. I double click on the layer, I open blending options, let's narrow it down a little bit, even like this. I'm clicking on gradient overlay and you can make adjustments here to get that flare effect. You can also do this. On some screens, the white here may go from white to normal. I go to the gradient section and click on the part above the black part. I make the opacity 0 here, so it will go from white to the original image. Sometimes we may even need to make a matte screen. For this, we will use the color overlay section. I change the color of this to black and reduce the opacity value. When I reduce the opacity value, we will be able to see the screen in a more matte way. It is even possible to put a realistic screen like this. I took this from my own computer. We can make adjustments like this. You were able to get the effect you want. Yes, in this tutorial, I showed how we can change screens like laptop screens with Photoshop as we gave in the example. I hope it was useful. If today's video was useful to you, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. Just click the subscribe button below this video. Thank you for watching.